Hey everybody, it's Brad Guigar, and it's Share Your Studio Day, so welcome to my studio. In this corner of the studio, I have a secondary workstation. That's for my assistant. Also, if I have an intern working, that's where they will work. You can see right now my intern, Asia Blackshear, is working on an animation project for the Comic Lab podcast. Over there in the corner is a photo of the Webcomics Weekly crew from way back when we were all babies. I always liked how the lighting in that photo kind of mimicked that famous Rat Pack photograph. Also, I've got some original art from Tales of the Con. That's a comic that I wrote for Emerald City Comic Con that Chris Giarrusso brilliantly drew. Got some other art that's really special to me. That vampire was from Amy Raudenbush, an illustrator at the Philadelphia Daily News that I worked with for an awful long time, and I always loved that illustration. Also, my Green Lantern t-shirt signed by Martin Nodell at one of the very first comic conventions I went to. Also in this corner, some marvelous sketches from one night that the Webcomics Weekly crew and myself were sitting in the lobby of a Baltimore hotel doing sketches of each other. And you can see a Chris Straub sketch up there, Dave Kellett, just some marvelous memories. There's a newspaper clipping from my hometown newspaper talking about my career in webcomics. Some original art from Courting Disaster. There's one of the very first computer illustrations I did way back in 1991 using a computer program on the Mac called Cricket Draw, if you can believe it, going that far back. Also from ancient history, there's some political cartoons that I did at Alma College when I was in college there. That was in the early 90s, and you can see the presidential campaign between George Bush and Michael Dukakis. There's a thank you note I got from a third grade class I did a talk with. There's another piece of original art from Dave Kellett. He did a wonderful comic involving Batman and the Riddler that I really loved. Some more editorial cartoons up there. Those are from when I had my first job at the repository in Canton, Ohio, and I was kind of their quasi-editorial cartoonist, so I did some editorial cartooning for them. There's some more original art that was gifted to me, along with my trademark application for Evil Inc. This is where I stage and process all of the shipping that I do. So you see I was doing some shipping of original art there. There's an original I bought from an artist I follow on Instagram. Also, Dave Kellett's Anatomy of Stan Lee. I love that so much. I got the original from that. There's a print of that famous Charles Addams cartoon. My wife got that for me for Christmas one year. Underneath that is a printing plate that newspaper syndicates would send out to newspapers so they could, in the early days, syndicate their cartoons. We think that might have been from Bob Kane working under a pen name. These are all my books, basically in storage, waiting to be shipped or sent out as Kickstarter rewards or Patreon rewards. Along the top of the studio, all the way around, I've got comic book covers framed that I think were just really wonderful covers or had meaning to me in one way or another, just inspiration. This is right behind my workstation, so if you've ever seen me do a Webcomics Confidential video or my Patreon video or a Kickstarter introduction, this is the wall that's usually right behind my head. It has a lot of great stuff, including an original Plastic Man commission from Anthony Wheeler, that old Justice League album that I had when I was a kid, a printing plate. They used to do a lot of printing in the building that my studio's in, and I snagged one of the old printing plates that they used. Some original art, some old toys that I'd saved. Pizza Sam's in Alma, Michigan, the best pizza ever when I was going to college. I lived on that stuff, and I actually went back and got a box so I could proudly display it. Even though I can't get to Alma too often to eat it anymore, I still like remembering that. And then in this corner of my studio, I've got a beautiful built-in bookcase that I've crammed full of books inspiration, old graphic novels that I've read, instructionals, and lots of mementos from my years in comics that give me all kinds of happy thoughts. There's the bottle of champagne that Don Rickles sent to me after I went up on stage and joined him for an audience participation bit, which was a pretty wild night in Atlantic City. There's my Wally World eggnog cup, some Spam from a production of Spam-A-Lot on Broadway, the Stan Lee cup, of course. There's Skull from Scott Kurtz's PvP, along with my copy of the Awesomeology. There's the Marvel Comics lunchbox I had in 5th grade, one of my favorites. That's not the one I had. I had to go and buy back my childhood on eBay on that one, but I kind of, it makes me happy to see it there. Oh, and I've got to show you this. These are some Lego minifigure, specially made pieces that a Evil Ink reader made for me. There's me on the far left standing next to Stan Lee, and on the right there are Lego minifigs of some of my characters from Evil Ink. And on this shelf, an Evil Ink reader modded some HeroClix figures to make HeroClix Evil Ink figures that were just amazing, and that's been a prized possession on my bookshelf ever since. Of course, more inspiration: Harvey Kurtzman, Phil Folio, Jack Cole, and that pretty much brings us full circle all the way around my studio. What I really love about this place is it's a place where I can surround myself with pieces of art that inspire me, little tchotchkes that remind me of happy memories and happy friendships. And it's a place where I can really focus myself on being creative and happy. And that's why I love spending time here. Speaking of which, I'm going to get back to work. I hope you enjoyed my studio tour. Have a great day.